Welcome back to the Grind, Sleep, Repeat podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about 3 workouts that you can do to help improve your speed with running.
Yeah, these are things that we have implemented in our own training that have made a huge difference. And obviously, off the bat, I do want to mention that strength training is a huge thing that you can incorporate into your program to help you just improve your overall strength, improve your endurance as a runner, avoid injury. But these are going to be 3 specific running styles and workouts that you can do. So we're not talking anything about strength training today. It's all about running, but you can implement these things into your running program and your hybrid training program to become faster. We're all looking to improve, and that's kind of one of the bases of hybrid training is having performance improvements while building strength, building muscle, and improving your body composition. And if you incorporate these or one of these 3 workouts that we'll talk about today, you're going to be able to increase your speed as a runner.
Yeah, it can become very frustrating to keep logging all these runs and you are not seeing improvement. You're not getting faster. You're stuck at that same mileage time. So today we're going to break down these 3 workouts that will help you improve your mileage time, help you be stronger, lower that heart rate, and just overall be a better runner.
Yeah, and I don't want you to think that every single run should include a workout like this. This is something that you want to use sparingly. So all 3 of these workouts are something that, or all 2 of the workouts, we'll talk about different styles, is something that you need to use sparingly. And really only about 20% of your runs should include these faster paced runs. Most of your runs should be lower, slower. We'll talk about that later, but we need to focus on 1, maybe 2, depending on how many times you're running a week. At least 1, maybe 2 of those workouts can be a faster style run like we'll talk about today.
Yeah, so jumping into the first workout is going to be speed. So when we're talking about speed, we're talking about that quick turnover on the feet. So some examples of that would be, where we're doing sprint work on the treadmill or outside on the track. We're doing these high bursts of intervals. So it's being as quick as you can and doing that for a shorter amount of time versus that longer run where you're going for a longer distance. It's this quick turnover. We're doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest, increasing that heart rate, and then bringing it back down and then bringing it back up.
Yeah, doing more of a repeat style. And if you're training for a specific race, typically a lot of times what works well is doing specific distances. So if you're going to a track, for example, and you're going to do a repeat workout, maybe you're doing mixed distances. So maybe you're doing some 800-meter repeats. You're doing some 400-meter repeats. Maybe even want to do some shorter distances, maybe some 200s and some 100s, some faster paced stuff. What you're doing is you're getting your legs used to turning over faster. So just like when we come to the gym and we're strength training, as we're getting stronger, yes, there's a muscular component to it, but there's also a neurological component to getting stronger. It's the same thing with running faster. There's a cardiovascular component to building fitness and becoming a more efficient runner. So your higher intensity is going to improve your VO2 max, but also what's going to happen as you get used to doing those faster paced runs, there's a neurological adaptation that also happens that gets your legs used to turning over faster. Because if you're running all of your miles at a slow aerobic pace, your legs just aren't used to turning over as fast as they would be if you're doing an 800-meter repeat where you're trying to run as hard as you can for 800 meters, take a minute, and then you repeat it, and then you repeat it. And you're just getting your nervous system used to having that quicker turnover in your legs. It's something that you can do that is going to make a huge difference if you've never included as a runner. And like I said, it's something that you need to use sparingly. You can't go to the track every single workout and you're running hard and you're just trying to hit these PRs on certain distances. You're going to run into injury. You're going to be fatigued. You're going to run into overuse, and it's just not going to be a recipe for success. Use it sparingly, but if you can go and do 1 workout a week at the track, it's going to make a huge difference. And one thing that will also structure a lot of times, like I was saying, there's the neurological component to your legs turning over faster, and there's the muscular and the cardiovascular adaptations. You can also get really specific with your distance. You can get specific with your rest time. So it's just like a strength training workout where you're looking to overload with distance. Maybe you're going to decrease your rest time. So last week between your 800 meters, you rested a minute and a half. This week, you're going to rest a minute 15. And then the next week, it's a minute. They're just little variables that you could tweak to just keep placing that stimulus just like we do in the gym when we're strength training.
Yeah, keep in mind that in comparison to the speed work and the longer runs, with speed work, they are gonna be shorter these are gonna be shorter amounts of time. So, these workouts, you're not running for an hour, you're not doing this for long periods of time. You should only be able to do, like, shorter amounts of this speed work because it's gonna exert a lot more energy and a lot more effort. So, if you are pushing yourself at max effort, max speed, you should only be able to do, even if it's like 15, 20 minutes of this type of workout. Making sure that you're incorporating a full dynamic warm up, getting in that, you know, cool down too when you're done with this. It ends up being about an hour of a workout. That max effort of energy that you are putting out, you're doing that for a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, and like Alyssa was saying, you have to get a warm up in. Maybe you want to do like a lighter jog, 2 laps around the track, and then you do your dynamic warm up, and then maybe you want to do like a faster pace 400, and then you hop into your sets. You can't just hop into something like this. It's the same thing like strength training. Anytime there's that higher intensity that you're trying to really test your muscular system, you have to make sure that you're warming up. It's a huge thing. You're going to get hurt eventually down the road, or you're going to run into some like weird tweak or nagging type injury that's just going to set you up for failure down the road. So make sure you're warming up for these workouts. It's also going to help you cardiovascularly too. So if you just go to the track, you put on your running shoes and you just go to your first 800-meter repeat, your heart rate's going to shoot through the roof and your body's going to like, what in the hell is going on? Why are we running? Are we running from a bear? Like, what is happening? Instead, if you go to the track, jog 2 laps, get a dynamic in, yeah, you're going to get your heart rate up. But what's going to happen is when you
Gradually.
go to that first interval, your heart rate, yes, it's going to get up, but your heart rate recovery is going to be so much better, and you're just going to have so much more productive of a session versus if you just hop right into it. And then you can take the same thing and apply that to your strength training. Make sure that you're warming up. It's the same concept that warming up before the workout is going to improve your performance, and therefore it's going to improve your results down the road.
Yeah, and if you're new to incorporating this speed work training, it's something that you want to take slowly and gradually add more sets, just like you would with weight training as well, kind of like you mentioned. But your heart rate recovery is going to get better. Your heart rate, if sprint work is new for you, your heart rate you might notice might be like way high over the roof, and you might be like, holy cow, this is like taking my breath away. That's just a sign that maybe you're not quite in that great of shape for this specific workout, but that will get better. So keep doing it, keep going because it does take time to improve those types of workouts. And the more you do it, the better you are going to get at it. And when you go into those longer runs, you're going to feel a lot faster because you're going to feel that quick turnover that you're doing in those speed works. And then going into those longer runs, you're like, holy cow, this is like night and day difference. So you're getting in the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, and like Alyssa mentioned, I want to touch on that. That's a good point. We'll do this for our clients too as well, is with your program, with your whole program, you're looking at your strength training, you're looking at your running, you're looking at your diet. It all has to blend together and make sense based on your own goals. And just like with running volume, if we're increasing running volume, that 10% per week is a really good rule to follow.
Yes.
And when we're structuring our workouts for our clients, both in person and both online with the clients that we work with, is we kind of follow that same thing as we typically don't want more than 10% increase per week. Some clients, you might be able to get away with it, and some clients might be below 10%. But say that you go to a track, and here's just an example here. Say that you go to a track and you run 4 800s and you run 4 400s. That's going to give you 3 miles of running volume. Each week, the next week we come back, we're not going to do 8 800s and 8 400s. That is way too much of an increase in volume, if that makes sense. So following that 10% rule is a really good rule to follow just to make sure that your body can acclimate. It's the same concept behind strength training to where, hey, I hit 100 pounds on bench press today. You're not going to come in the next week and put on 150 pounds. You're going to put on 105 pounds. And once you get that, you're going to do 110. It's a slow build. It's the same concepts that we apply in the gym, but just make sure that you're not increasing more than 10% each week because you will run into injury, especially with these higher intensity workouts.
Yeah, even if you feel good. I know there's some weeks that, like, you and I will be like, "Oh, we feel really good. This run feels really good. We should do, instead of 5 miles, maybe we should do 7 or 8." And it's like, while that seems great in that moment, it might set you up for failure for the rest of the week and make that recovery aspect a lot more challenging. So if you stick with that program, stick with that structure, I promise you it's going to help you get better as the weeks go on. As long as you follow that program, you're going to recover better, you're going to feel better, you're going to move better, and you're going to get stronger as a runner.
Yeah, it's hard to, for us, we write our own programs and we'll write it out in advance or say that we're signing up for a race. Like we'll write it out. We got the full like 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is. And you're right. There are some workouts where like I could do more. I feel good today.
Yeah.
And it's tempting to try and want to do more.
Takes one of us to be like,
Yeah.
hold
But
up.
or like stick to the program. The same thing that we tell our clients. It's like stick to the program, trust the process. The program is built to make you improve from week to week. Don't shoot yourself in the foot by adding too much too soon or thinking, hey, I feel great today. Let's try and 1 rep max on your deadlift. And then you pull a hamstring and then you're screwed. So I get it. It is hard to, when you feel really good, to be like, I want to do some extra. Try and stick to the program. Or if you have a program set up, make sure that you're sticking to it. It's built on progression and that you are just trusting that process.
Yeah, even on those rest days when you're like, ooh, today's supposed to be a rest day, but I feel really good. It's so nice outside. I really want to get out there and run. Some days we feel like that too, but one of us has to remind each other, like, hey, this isn't in the program. Our bodies need this. Our bodies need this rest day. So just follow the program.
Yeah.
There's a reason we have a program.
Taking one step back today so that you can take 3 steps forward tomorrow type of thing. You have to keep that mindset moving forward. If you're somebody that is tired of not seeing the results that you want to see and you're looking for a structured program that is tailored to your goals, then we are here to help. We've helped hundreds of people, both in person and online, create a program that is structured around their goals to help them not only see the results that they want to see, but also sustain the progress. Whether your goal is to lose body fat, build muscle, train in a hybrid style where you're mixing lifting and running, these are all things that we can help you with. So if you're interested in working together, fill out that form below. Let's get in touch and let's create a program that is custom to your goals.
All right. So jumping off of that speed work topic, we're going into our next workout, which is going to be the tempo runs. So a tempo run is kind of similar to speed work while we're trying to get into that uncomfortable pace, but we're trying to exert that pace for a little bit longer.
Yeah. So like a track workout, we're going to a track, you're doing 800 meters, you're running hard. At the end of that 800 meters, there's a clear rest period. Maybe it's a minute, maybe it's a minute and a half, depending on your fitness level, it might look different. With tempo runs, the idea is you are going maybe for a distance of 800 meters, 1600 meters. Maybe you're going a mile and a half, 2 miles at a specific pace. And your coach will program it based off of your specific goals. Maybe you have a race, base it off of your current fitness level. But the idea is you're trying to get used to running faster paces, yes, than you would if you were just going out for an aerobic run. But typically what you'll do is you'll toggle back and forth between a faster pace run that maybe is like your goal pace run for a race and then a slower recovery run. This is a really good style to, one, get comfortable with running at a faster pace. You're going to see what it feels like. You're going to see, do my legs give out? Does my heart rate go up like crazy? What does it feel like to run at harder paces and higher heart rates? But two, it's also going to start to condition you to not have as high of a heart rate response when you do run faster. Because if you go and you run all slow miles, and maybe you're signing up for a half marathon and you have a certain goal, and say, for example, you want to run a half marathon in an hour 45, but all of your slow runs are like 10 minutes, 11 minutes, and then you come in on race day and you got to run below 9-minute miles to reach that goal, it's going to be uncomfortable and you haven't prepped for that and your heart rate's going to shoot through the roof and it's just not going to work well. So tempo runs work really well to get you comfortable at running at faster paces, see what it feels like, improve your VO2 max, improve your efficiency at running at that pace. And it just helps get more comfortable with that so that you know what it's going to feel like when you show up on your race day. Or if you want to run faster, you know what it feels like to run at that speed.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite workout styles because it kind of stimulates your brain too. So it keeps your mind busy and it takes away, that thought of like, oh, I got 7 more miles to go. I got, 1 more mile to go. Or, like you're constantly just breaking down the workout into like pieces and I feel like it goes by a lot quicker,
Yeah.
and I enjoy this type of workout because I can get lost in this type of workout too. But it also allows you to push yourself at a harder pace while also letting your body kinda come down into this rest. So, something I like to do with this style of training is if I'm outside going for, a 3-mile run, maybe you're running at that pace that you want to, get towards. If your goal pace is, I don't know, for example, 8-minute mile, you're running at that 8-minute mile for maybe it's half of a mile, maybe it's a few minutes, and then you're bringing that pace down into something where that heart rate drops down into more of an aerobic state, and then letting that come back down for maybe another half a mile or a couple minutes, and then bringing it back up. And some ways that you can monitor that are by wearing a chest strap that's gonna monitor your heart rate, wearing a watch that also can monitor your heart rate, but these things aren't gonna be 100% accurate, keep in mind too. So, just going by how you're feeling, if you're able to, breathe through these workouts, have conversations through these workouts, and while this kinda goes back to what I was saying before, you may feel like, "Oh, I could totally hit this 3-mile run at my 8-minute pace. I feel really good today." Stick with the program because, again, these workouts are structured a certain way so that you can get better later on down the road.
Yeah, another style that's kind of like tempo training that we really like, we'll group it together with this. One of our favorites is fartlek training.
Yeah.
So I feel for myself, I love track workouts. I love long runs. I really feel like for myself and even clients that we train, fartlek training is is such a good way to build fitness, improve your VO2 max, improve heart rate recovery. So one thing that's really beneficial with fartlek training, and we'll talk about what it is say you're out for a run and maybe you run a little too hard. If you have the ability to pull the pace back a little bit and get your heart
Mhm.
rate down, that's such a efficient tool and efficient skill that you can have in your toolbox as a runner that's going to allow you to run harder, hit the distance that you want,
Without stopping.
not bonk, yeah, not stop and walking. What I'm saying is if you can pull your pace back, not to a complete walk, to a jog and recover, that's such an efficient tool. And that's really what fartlek training does. And fartlek training is essentially where you're toggling back and forth between a faster pace run and a slower recovery jog. You never stop. You never stop running. There's no walking involved. But the idea is, okay, maybe I run 5 minutes at a faster pace, maybe a little bit faster than my goal race pace. And then I run maybe 5 minutes at a jog. As you get more efficient, you get better at this style, you can start to increase the work duration, the faster pace duration, and decrease your rest time. So it could be like 5 and 3, 5 and 2, or it could be specific distances. But it's really good at allowing you to get comfortable at those higher heart rates, recover, bring your heart rate back down, because that's such a good skill to have because we've all been on those runs before where we are running, we're running, we're running, our heart rate is just high. And if you can pull it back for a second, maybe for a couple minutes at a slower pace jog, bring it back down so that you can continue at the pace that you were aiming for, that's such a good skill that you can develop. And that's really what fartlek training helps you do so. Again, this is a higher intensity run. It's not something that you want to do every single run. If you do, yeah, you're going to build fitness, but you're also going to build fatigue. You're going to build the potential or have a higher risk of potential for injury. And you have to think about how each workout is affecting your body throughout the week. So hybrid training, we're lifting and we're running. And if you're running hard all the time, you're burning up all your muscle glycogen, you're going to come in and you're not going to have any energy for your strength training sessions. You're not going to be able to build strength. We had a comment on one of our podcasts the other day that someone was talking about how, I've been hybrid training for the last 5 months, but I haven't built any strength. I'm getting better as a runner. My guess would probably be there's some sort of design flaw in the program or some sort of
Lack of fuel.
fueling, yeah, nutrition. There's something that's missing because you can build strength and improve as a runner. Those two things can coexist. You just have to make sure your program is blending well together
Sometimes you
and
have
it's
to dial
structured.
back
Yeah,
from one.
sometimes less is more. Making sure that,
Yeah.
okay, this workout is here because it's going to help you do this, and this is here because of this. It needs to fit together like a puzzle. We can't just have 7 days of hard runs and 7 strength training workouts, and we do 14 workouts a week and think that we're going to get better.
We tried that.
That's not going to work. I could just flat out tell you right now,
We
that's not going to work. You have to have more detailed structure. And that's really what we aim to provide with our clients, both in person and online, is each person's different. They're going to need a custom approach to their goals, to where their fitness is at and where they want to go. But if we create that structure where the program blends together, the strength training, the running, and then the diet is there to support those goals, they're going to see so much better progress. And probably, not necessarily not work hard, but they're going to be able to work hard when they need to so that they can take that 3, 4, 5 steps forward.
Yeah, there's so many things that can go along with that too. Like, are you separating your running days with your workouts, your lifting sessions, making sure that you're fueling properly around those sessions? Are you focusing on big, heavy compound movements to help get stronger in those areas too? Getting solid rest breaks in between each set. So there's a lot of things that go in depth on that. And maybe that's something that we could touch on and do a whole episode over at some point.
I said we wouldn't talk about strength training, but we could not, it's just in our blood. We love strength training. That's our background.
Right.
Obviously hybrid training is all about building strength, building muscle, the aesthetic part of lifting weights, but also blending in running and the conditioning and getting the health benefits and the cardiovascular benefits of
Diet.
running, the diet to blend that together. So we couldn't help ourselves. We had to talk about strength training a little bit, but back to the runs. I might leave that in. That's funny. So our third tip on how to become a faster runner, and this actually has nothing to do with speed training. It's all about making sure that you're getting enough aerobic conditioning in your program.
Yep.
And aerobic meaning that you are using oxygen as an energy source. And the easiest way to figure out your max aerobic heart rate is to take 180 minus your age. That's a really good number to shoot for. Obviously, that's not going to be perfect. That's just a really basic formula that you can go for. But taking this number, 180 minus your age, that's going to give you a number. That's the heart rate that you want to run at or below for 80% of your runs.
Yep.
So most of your runs. So if you're running 5 times a week, 4 of your runs should be at that heart rate. You need to make sure that you're running enough aerobic miles because this is going to help you build endurance. And a lot of times people think that we have to run hard every single run in order to get better. But really what we would want to do is we want to build fitness, build endurance over time. And if you're never working aerobically, you're working anaerobically without oxygen, you're running too hard at too high of heart rates, you're not going to improve. You're going to run into injury. You're going to run into fatigue. You're not going to build strength. You're going to lose muscle. And it's just not going to work. And we've made that mistake too. When we first started hybrid training, we had that hard mentality of like, we lift weights and every workout needs to be a PR. And then you go do that for your runs and you realize that's not the case. You're going to run into these injuries, little nagging things start to happen. You're going to be fatigued. It's just not going to work in a program. So having enough aerobic miles is super important. And if you're not doing that, it's going to make a huge difference in your program.
Yeah, and back to what you were saying in the beginning too, increasing that with that 10% each week. So, if your long run consists of 6 miles, we're not running just 6 miles every single week because at some point that's just going to plateau. So you need to gradually increase that, but you don't want to go from 6 miles to 8 miles or, 8 miles to 12 miles. You need to slowly increase your mileage. And while I'm all about, feeling out how you're feeling that day, like I said in the beginning too, you might be feeling really good one day and you might want to take it all the way and run instead of 8, run 10. It's best to plan ahead for those types of runs too and fuel efficiently for those runs too. Because I know Jordan and I have come across multiple times where we don't have gels with us, we don't properly hydrate. So on these long runs, you want to make sure you're fueled properly and you're including an intra carb source to help get you through these workouts and an electrolyte source as well. So making sure you keep that in mind as well is important.
Yeah, we could talk 3 hours about this topic. But the main thing is you have to look at what your goals are. you're going to be different. Everybody listening to this podcast is going to have slightly different goals, and that's okay. And I think that's the beauty of hybrid training is that
Yeah.
you might be in a phase where you want to spend a lot of time strength training, building muscle. You might be in a phase where, hey, I want to sign up for this race. That's my main priority, but you still need to lift weights. You can do that within hybrid training. You just have to have structure. That's what we want to get at is
Yeah.
there's so many ways you can improve as a runner, that you can improve your speed, improve your endurance. There's so many ways as a hybrid athlete that we can build muscle and build strength and improve our body composition. But if you're just winging it, it's not going to happen. You're not going to see the results that you want, or you're not going to see optimal results. It's going to take you a lot longer to see the results that you want. And you're just going to work so much harder for it. You're going to spin your wheels, and it's going to take a long time to figure out. So if you are somebody that's listening to this podcast and you are interested in a structured program that is tailored to you and you're interested in working with us, we do also offer online coaching to where we take out the guesswork of your strength training, take out the guesswork of your running, create a diet program that's custom to you, your specific metabolism, and your goals. So if you are interested in learning more about that, we have a link down in the comment section below. You can click on that link. You can fill out that form on our website for more information, or you can even book a call with us from that link as well. So we would love to help out any way that we can. It's something that structure is always going to lead to better progress rather than just winging it. And the mentality of more is always better doesn't always necessarily work with hybrid training. More structure, more progression, more intelligent structure is always going to be better than just more for the sake of being more.
So thanks for tuning in to the podcast, and we will see you guys in the next episode.